Goeiemôre graad 9. Aangesien julle ouens naderkom aan die vakkeuses wat julle moet maak vir jou graad 10 jaar, het ek gedink dat ek vir vandag se videoles so 'n bietjie saam met jou gaan deurgaan deur hoekom jy RTT as 'n vak dalk kan of moet kies. So wat gee RTT wat die ander vakke nie gee nie? Nou, julle ouens het al meeste van ons rekenaarsentrums gesien. Julle ken die verskillende klasse. En as julle nog nie in al die klasse was nie, dan was julle al in 2 van die 3 klasse. Maar elke klas het ten minste 30 rekenaars, behalwe vir juffrou Meiber se klas wat natuurlik 36 rekenaars het. So ons kan ten minste 90 leerders op 'n slag in die verskillende klasse 'n kans gee om op 'n rekenaar te werk. So ons het die nodige fasiliteite om vir jou die beste moontlike ondervinding te gee in hoe 'n rekenaar gaan werk. Waarmee gaan ons werk? Nou julle het al reeds 'n kyk gehad na Word, ons het al gekyk na Excel en ons het al gekyk na PowerPoint. Ons het ook al reeds gekyk na die internet deur gebruik te maak hoofsaaklik van Google Chrome. As jy besluit om RTT as vak te kies, sal jy ook verder werk met Access. Ons gaan verder in detail werk met Word en Excel en dan gaan ons ook later werk met wat ons noem Notepad++. Ons gebruik Notepad++ om webtuistes te skryf wanneer jy in graad 11 en 12 kom. Nou hierdie is maar net 'n voorbeeld van hoe jou Word skerm lyk. Hiermee behoort julle al reeds vertroud te wees. Dan het ons 'n bietjie gekyk na hoe Excel gaan lyk. En dit is hoe jou basiese Excel skerm ook dan nou lyk. En dan sal ons natuurlik ook later bietjie kyk na grafieke en wat jy alles daarmee kan doen. Dan het ons natuurlik PowerPoint. Nou PowerPoint het julle al redelik in detail gedoen en gaan julle baie moontlik weer in graad 10 herhaal. Dan kry ons Access of database sagteware. Hierdie sagteware gee jou die geleentheid om verskillende databasisse met verskillende queries, berekeninge en forme te skep wat jy weer kan gebruik om gewone data om te skep in bruikbare inligting. Notepad++ lyk so. Ons maak gebruik van verskillende kodes om 'n webtuiste te skryf. Hierdie is maar net hoe die kode lyk voordat ons die webtuiste dan omskakel in wat ons op 'n website sal sien. Dan leer ons jou ook bietjie meer van wat binne in 'n rekenaar aangaan. Ons wys vir julle verskillende parte en ons leer julle ook wat elke part gaan doen. Ons leer julle uit watter komponente die verskillende rekenaars bestaan, as ook die funksie en die bruikbaarheid van elke komponent. Ons leer julle ook hoe om jouself te beskerm teen rekenaarmisdaad. Nou ons het al reeds 'n kykie daarna gehad in van ons videolesse, maar ons gaan in baie meer detail ingaan, sodat jy ten einde van matriek weet hoe om jouself in die wêreld daar buite teen enige rekenaarmisdadigers te beskerm. Kom ons kyk of ons jou volgende jaar ook in die graad 10 RTT lokaal gaan sien. Nou ouens, verder as dit, het ek nou vir julle 'n paar video's bymekaar gesit wat vir jou 'n kykie gaan gee van hoe jy elke program in verskillende maniere kan gebruik. Nie net nou in jou klas, in jou werk by die skool, maar ook eendag wanneer jy in die wêreld van werk is.
While multimedia files such as digital imagery and video have become increasingly popular in today's business world, the written word remains as important as ever. Just think about the nature of the documents being produced and circulated within an organization. A marketing plan to promote a new product, a memo from senior management regarding corporate strategy, a new benefits policy developed by human resources. Most of these documents are produced using word processing and desktop publishing software. Word processing software is used to manipulate a text document, such as a resume or a report. You typically enter text by typing, and the software provides tools for copying, deleting, and various types of formatting. Some of the functions of word processing software include creating, editing, saving, and printing documents, copying, pasting, moving, and deleting text within a document, formatting text such as font type, bold, underlined, and italicized, creating and editing tables, inserting elements from other software such as illustrations and photographs, correcting spelling and grammar. There are a number of different word processing applications. One of the most widely used ones is Word, which is part of Microsoft Office. Another widely used one is WordPerfect by the Coral Corporation. A third one is Writer, which is part of OpenOffice by Apache. While the first two are commercial software, OpenOffice is open source and can be downloaded and used free of charge. Finally, there is Pages, which is part of iWork by Apple. While there are many small differences between the various word processing applications, they accomplish pretty much the same thing. Which one you use is partly a matter of personal preference. It is also important to consider which software is being used by the people you normally collaborate with. In many cases, people within the same organization will use the same software to make it easier to share documents and to work on the same document together. Word processing applications typically include utilities to convert between the native formats of each application. For example, if you are using iWork by Apple, you can export it to a format that Microsoft Word can read if that is what your colleagues are using. Word processing includes a number of tools to format your pages. For example, you can organize your text into columns, add page numbers, insert illustrations, etc. However, word processing does not give you complete control over the look and feel of your document. When design becomes important, you can use desktop publishing software to make your document look really good. Desktop publishing software, or DTP, is used to create page layouts of documents. You can combine text and illustrations in a way that is not possible or very difficult to do in word processing software. DTP is used when the visual impact of your documents is very important. For example, consider a product catalog. The text describing each product is important, but just as important is the quality of images and how the text and illustrations are organized on a page. Typical DTP software is a little more difficult to use than regular word processing software. This is partly because there are so many different options to consider. In addition, there are lots of design considerations when creating page layouts. DTP is one of the tools used by graphic designers. A graphic designer is a professional who creates documents using a combination of typography, images, and other graphics. Documents can be created for print or electronic media. While word processing and desktop publishing both use text and images to create documents, there are some key differences. Desktop publishing software provides many more advanced options for layout. You have full control of how text and images are placed within a document. Desktop publishing software provides complete digital typography tools, so your fonts look just the way you want them to. Desktop publishing software makes it much easier to work with multiple pages. Consider a brochure that folds out and that has photographs and text running across multiple pages. Good luck trying that in Word. Desktop publishing software gives you full control over the printing process, making sure your colors look great on a particular type of paper and printer. There are a number of different desktop publishing software. One of the most widely used ones is InDesign by Adobe. Others include Page Plus by Serif, Quark Express by Quark Incorporated, and the open source software Scribus. Both word processing and desktop publishing software can be used to create documents to print out. Creating paper documents is not always the most effective way to distribute documents, though. However, copying your text into an email message would remove most of your formatting and layout. An alternative is to create your document in portable document format, or PDF. A PDF file is a digital document that preserves all the original formatting but does not require the original software to open the file. From your desktop publishing software, you can simply print to PDF to create the file, and then anybody can view the file using a free PDF reader. PDF has become a widely used standard for sharing documents online. PDF can be used to create a digital document from any application that can also print to paper, but the format is very common when using text documents and page layouts. Word processing software is used to manipulate text and apply basic formatting to a document. Desktop publishing software is used to create page layouts of documents and provides much more control over text and images. Both word processing and desktop publishing uses files in PDF format to share documents in digital form without losing any of the layout and design characteristics. Imagine you're on your first job as an analyst in the marketing department of an organization. Your first assignment is to create a marketing plan for a new product. So you spend the next 6 weeks crafting an outstanding plan. Once you're done, you deliver a 40-page report to your manager. She says, "Looks great. Why don't you give a summary presentation to the team tomorrow?" Now what? Are you going to hand out a copy of the plan to everyone and then just talk about it? Not everyone has time or interest to read your entire plan. How are you going to convey your key messages in a 10-minute presentation? How are you going to show that complicated flowchart you created to illustrate your strategy? You turn to presentation and illustration software. Presentation software allows you to organize the most important information into a series of slides. During your presentation, these slides will be projected to a screen so the audience can see them. Slides will contain text and illustrations, but only as much as the audience can absorb in the short amount of time that it will be shown during your presentation. So you're going to summarize your 40-page plan in a small amount of text and illustrations that fits on a few slides. Your text and illustrations can be created from scratch within the presentation software, but it is common to bring in text from a word processing application and images from illustration and photo editing software. There are a number of different types of presentation software. One of the most widely used ones is PowerPoint, which is part of Microsoft Office. Another one is Impress, which is part of OpenOffice by Apache. Finally, there is Keynote, which is part of iWork by Apple. During your actual presentation, you can use the software to present a slideshow. This shows your slides at full screen without any of the regular software menus or tools. Typically, your presentation is shown on a wall or projection screen using an LCD projector connected to your computer. You can manually navigate through your slides, or you can set a timer for how long each slide should be shown. When creating a report using word processing applications or a presentation using presentation software, you may want to include some illustrations. Presentations in particular will become much more interesting when you have effective visuals. You can create your own visuals using illustration software. Illustration software allows you to create and edit different types of illustrations. You can work with many different types of visuals, but the most common one is known as vector graphics. What this means is that illustrations are created using line work. In technical terms, you use points, lines, curves, and shapes to create the illustration. Vector graphics are in contrast to bitmap or raster files, which consist of pixels. For example, if you are manipulating a digital photograph, you are working with raster. If you are creating visuals by drawing lines and shapes, you are using vector. When you see a photorealistic illustration that is not actually a photograph, the illustration typically consists of very detailed line work, hundreds or thousands of lines. Illustration software can also be used for page layout. For example, think of a poster for a cultural event. The poster may contain text, line drawings, color, and photographs. Illustration software gives you full control over all these elements, and you can make your design look really good. Illustration software is one of the tools used by graphic designers. A graphic designer is a professional who creates documents using a combination of typography, images, and other graphics. Page layouts using illustration software typically consist of a single page or a handful of pages, such as a poster, a brochure, or a book cover. If you need to create a page layout for a more complicated document, such as a complete book, you are likely going to need desktop publishing software. There are a number of different illustration applications. One of the most widely used ones is Illustrator by Adobe. Others include CorelDRAW by the Corel Corporation and the open source applications Inkscape and Zara Extreme. Presentation software is used to combine a limited amount of text and images into a compelling slideshow to present to an audience. Illustration software is used to create and edit vector-based graphics. Organizations use large amounts of data. Two types of software applications are particularly suited to work with data: spreadsheet software and database software. While both are used to work with data, each has its own unique strengths. Spreadsheet software is used to organize and manipulate numerical data. Numbers are organized on a grid of lettered columns and numbered rows. The grid itself consists of cells, and each cell can be located using a unique combination of columns and rows. For example, the cell in the top left corner is always A1. The cell in the third column on the 10th row is C10. Cells contain numerical values or text, but you can also leave some cells empty. Let's look at an example of how spreadsheets are used. Consider a spreadsheet that describes how many products were sold by a store in a single day. The first column is the name of the product. The second column is the unit price of the product. The third column contains the number of units sold that day. Now you want to calculate the value of total sales for each product. Simple enough. You multiply the unit price by the number of units. How does this work in the spreadsheet? Let's say the second row represents the 52-inch LCD television set. The unit price can be found in cell B2, while the number of units sold can be found in C2. The necessary calculation is B2 times C2, and you enter this as a formula in cell D2 as follows: equals B2 times C2. This means that the value of cell D2 is calculated using a formula that includes the values of the cells B2 and C2. Using the values of other cells in a formula is called referencing. Why is this so powerful? First, if you have a large number of products, you do not have to type out this formula again. You can simply copy the formula used for the cell D2 and paste it into the other cells. With a few keystrokes, you will have calculated the value of total sales for all products. Second, consider what would happen if the price of a product changes. You enter the new price in cell B2, and the value of cell D2 updates automatically. Clever. Both of these features can save you a lot of time. Spreadsheets have numerous predefined functions. The multiplication function used in the example is just one function. Other examples are functions like sum, average, and count. In addition to arithmetic and mathematical functions, spreadsheet software also contains more specialized financial and statistical functions. The availability of so many functions is one of the reasons for the popularity of spreadsheet software. Another characteristic of spreadsheets is that cells can be formatted for certain types of data. For example, you can work with currency, dates, and percentages. Spreadsheet software also includes the ability to turn your numbers into charts, such as pie charts, bar charts, and scatter plots. One of the earliest spreadsheet software applications was Lotus 1-2-3 by IBM. This software was largely responsible for making spreadsheet software popular in the 1980s. Its popularity has since declined, and in 2013, the Lotus brand was officially withdrawn from the market. There are a number of different types of spreadsheet software in use today. One of the most widely used ones is Excel, which is part of Microsoft Office. Another one is Calc, which is part of OpenOffice by Apache. Finally, there is Numbers, which is part of iWork by Apple. Database software is used to organize, manipulate, and analyze data. A database can contain one or more tables as well as other elements. One database table consists of rows and columns. In database terminology, each row is called a record, and each column is called a field. This provides the basic structure to organize data. Database software is also referred to by its more complete name, Database Management System, or DBMS. The purpose of a database management system is to store and transform data into information to support making decisions. Database software is somewhat similar to spreadsheet software, but there are some key differences. While spreadsheets work mostly with numerical values, databases can contain any number of different data types, including text, numbers, images, multimedia, and others. Databases provide a rigorous structure to organize the data. This enforces the integrity of the data. For example, all values in a single column have to be of the same type. In a spreadsheet, there is no such structure. You also cannot leave rows or columns blank like in a spreadsheet. Database software provides tools to manage, organize, and analyze the data. For example, you can ask questions about the data, called queries. Queries make it possible to find specific information in the database and to examine relationships. Spreadsheets have much more limited data analysis capabilities. Spreadsheet software includes many tools to produce graphical displays of your data. These capabilities are more limited in database software. In general, you would use a spreadsheet if your data is not very complex, consists mostly of numbers, and you need to perform many different types of calculations. When your data becomes more complex or very large, you would organize it in a database since it provides more structure. When you need to perform calculations, you could export a portion of your data to a spreadsheet for that specific purpose. There are a number of different types of database software. One of the most widely used ones is Access, which is part of Microsoft Office. On Mac OS, one of the most popular ones is FileMaker. Other commonly used database software applications are MySQL, Oracle, SAP, and DBase. Spreadsheet software is used to organize and manipulate numerical data. Data elements in a spreadsheet are organized in a grid of cells. You can use formulas to carry out various types of calculations. Formulas for a particular grid cell often use references to other grid cells. Database software is used to organize, manipulate, and analyze data. Data elements in a database are organized in tables, and each table consists of records and fields. This data structure makes it possible to perform analysis on your data in the form of queries. While there is some overlap between the two in terms of functionality, each software has its own strengths. Spreadsheet software is best for doing calculations on numerical data, while database software is best for organizing large and complex data sets into an easy-to-use structure.